2025 is going to go down as one of the most stacked years for video game releases in history. I mean, look at all of this heat. Banger after banger after banger. So you'd think that picking a game that stands above the rest might be tough, but nah. The choice for me is so obvious, so easy, so clear. Baby Steps is my game of the year 2025. And it's not even close. This isn't clickbait. I'm not tricking you for comment farming. Out of the 35 new releases that I played in 2025, Baby Steps feels like the most unapologetically personal, the most cathartically real, while remaining whimsical, rage-inducing, and suitably insane. I can already hear your keyboards clicking and clacking.
What about award-winning Claire Obscure Expedition 33 made by a team of just 30 people?
This is just a rage bait streamer game trying to go viral. There's no way it's that deep, dummy.
Did you even play Misunderstood Masterpiece Mind's Eye?
Gay!
And to that I say, did you play Baby Steps? And yeah, we're ticking on that streamer mode because the Lovecraftian YouTube algorithm needs its daily sacrifice of artistic integrity. So this is how Baby Steps sort of kinda saved my life a little bit.
Okay.
And I wish I was exaggerating. We're gonna get into more of the video essay in just a second, but if you do end up enjoying what you see, consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps out small creators like me to be seen by more people. And if you want to support financially, I have a Ko-fi page, but more about that at the end of the video. Take it away, past me. At first glance, Baby Steps looks like just another rage-baiting game made for Twitch streamers to clip farm for views. A flash in the pan, or a 3D getting over it. After all, the man behind the aggravating Cauldron and Hammer platformer himself, Bennett Foddy, worked on this game too. And I don't blame anyone for assuming this game would simply be more of that, more Foddian fodder. Is that a genre now too? It's like friend slop, but for people with a Reddit account. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much from the game either when I first picked it up. I figured I would make some fun Twitch clips, you know, like the classic flailing and falling over like in the heyday of QWOP. Maybe a reaction to an absurdist cutscene, falling all the way back down to the opening of the game, dejected like my life was over. But Baby Steps turned out to be a shockingly honest look in the mirror for me, hidden within the Trojan horse of a clip farming rage bait game. Now, if that doesn't sell you on playing this for the first time or going back to it after tumbling down that waterfall and uninstalling, pause the video and go play it for yourself. Because believe it or not, this video essay is going to contain spoilers for secrets, the incredibly touching ending, story reveals, as well as discussion of topics that are currently on your screen. This game goes places, unabashedly. And if you want to climb this mountain along with Nate, I want you to have that same euphoric experience that I did. This may not be a sponsored video essay, but like, call me up, Devolver, and just know that if you're struggling to finish the game yourself, The difficulty has a narrative purpose, but if it truly is a barrier to entry for you, you can always watch a playthrough of it on Twitch or here on YouTube.
It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. Sir Edmund Hillary.
At the risk of sounding like the self-important quotes that feel more patronizing than encouraging in Bennett Foddy's previous game, Getting Over It, those are the words of the first person to ever make it to the top of Mount Everest. Like, damn dude, overachiever much. The closest I'll ever get to that is sitting on my comfy little streaming chair, rolling credits on baby steps. But I do think that quote highlights why games like this feel so good to complete, and why games about climbing mountains exist in the first place. Mountains, whether physical or digital, are a universally understood obstacle. They're giant monuments of earth and stone, nature's towers, a reminder of how insignificant we as a human race are to the planet that we call home. They're immovable. But with enough willpower, preparation, and pure effort, reaching a peak isn't as impossible as it might seem from down below. Pushing yourself through the moments of self-doubt, taking each step even when things get tough, learning that you're more resilient than you thought possible, growing and changing as you reach higher and higher elevations. Most of what's standing in between us and a rocky pinnacle is our own mental blockades and gallons of sweat. That's what makes journeys of clambering up cliffs and scaling summits rife with metaphor. In media, a mountain is never really just a mountain. A hole is never just a hole. Obstacles are rarely just obstacles. Unless the game's like bad or whatever. There's a lesson in these metaphors, and great games can take these simple hurdles and use them as tools to echo more relatable struggles. And through overcoming them with our character, they can show us what we're capable of. Not all of us yearn to devour a moon or see visions of ominous red squares. But I'm pretty confident in saying we've all seen a mountain and thought, wow, that sure is tall. Now, actually climbing one? Especially when it's the central goal of a video game protagonist, that journey only ever gets embarked on when someone has an internal struggle that they really have to overcome. A lesson to learn. I mean, the titular mountain in Celeste quite literally challenges Madeline to overcome her insecurities and her anxieties to connect with her true self more deeply. A Short Hikes mountain gives Claire a better perspective on her relationship with her family. Don't Nod's underrated masterpiece, Jusant, uses its mountain to display the importance of community even in times of great turmoil and fear. Journey and The Pathless both use their mountains as more spiritual, journeys. Even something as simple as Peak teaches us about the importance of communication and asking for help from our friends during hardship. Or, eating them, I guess. But really, while actually playing these games, your main objective is a lot more unassuming. Get to the top of the mountain. Oh, well, this is going to be a time. After I booted up Baby Steps for the first time, I realized my time controlling Nate wasn't going to be as easy as push the left stick forward for a few hours. Each step was an Octodad meets I Am Bread style hand-eye coordination disaster. Let me try and show you what successfully taking a few steps looks like on flat ground, just in case you haven't experienced this with your own two hands. Every stride is a struggle. Each footstep is a feat. But twerking? I got that down in seconds. And after I finally scrambled out of that introductory cave, it turned out there was a goal here. Get Nate to a bathroom. Because he's pee shy. Same dude, relatable king. But of course, with controls like these, that is surely easier said than done. Every step that's a little too wide, every pebble, and every slight incline is your downfall. Eventually, I started taking 2 or 3 steps before toppling over, and then 5. With each nosedive into the mud came a little more experience. Not that this is somehow an RPG by any means, but experience that I gained as a person holding this controller, guiding this unshowered anxiety person through the dreamlike world that he got isekai'd into. Both Nate and I were learning how to walk, step by step, together. I never realized until playing this game that it's actually kind of a miracle that most of us can walk at all, because the second you have to intentionally move each leg and position it just so to avoid a tumble, it suddenly becomes an insurmountable struggle, like you're juggling the neurons in your brain, kind of like being made aware that you're breathing. And now I'm thinking about it and oh god, something as simple as walking in a straight line is really technically complicated and something we kind of take for granted. And we really don't think about it all that often. Now, put a pin in that for later. As walking became slightly easier, I saw that the obvious path forward wasn't my only option for progressing. In fact, I could go about my mission of getting Nate to the loo in any way that I wanted, because this game is somehow open world, which again, I wasn't at all expecting going in. No invisible walls to box me in. My journey with Nate was my own. The tumbles and the triumphs were my responsibility. No one was there to tell me where to go or how to reach our destination. I could take the predetermined, expected path, or I could take my time searching for my own route, or, getting sidetracked by a collectible for an hour that I never even ended up reaching. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Otter, I thought you hated open world games. Didn't you make an entire video essay about exactly that? And to that I say, thank you so much for watching my video essays. I really put a lot of effort into these, so thank you. But Baby Steps does manage to take the best things about open world games and leave behind all of the worst tropes that make most open world games a slog. There's no checklist to make the game feel like a workplace chore. And by having the game revolve around a unique movement mechanic, traversing the map is consistently engaging, if not also enraging. But by struggling through all of this world's hills, mudslides, rivers, and decrepit carnivals, Nate and I were making progress. Even getting distracted by the curiosity of what was off in the distance gave my hands more time to develop an unconscious muscle memory of how to traverse through this dreamscape, until finally, we reached our first campfire. And we were rewarded with our first moment of rest and... Wait. Huh? I would definitely say this is the moment that Baby Steps differentiated itself from other games with similar setups.
Chasing angels and fleeing demons, go to the mountains. Jeffrey Rasley.
Few games that share this DNA of purposefully rage-inducing control schemes have storylines, and fewer still have cutscenes, or the absolute absurdism of whatever is going on here. And while on the surface these wacky elements might seem like they're just there for the shock value, the further I climbed up the mountain with Nate, the less absurd this world started to look, even when the game didn't look like itself anymore. As a chronic completionist, whenever I see a collectible, my knee-jerk reaction is to grab it if I can. The coins of Mario games past have hardwired that instinct into my brain, it seems. So when I realized that Baby Steps littered different hats around its world, I figured I'd pop them on Nate's sweaty noggin. Why not, right? Who doesn't love an unnecessary fashion show in their video game? Of course, that's easier said than done, and these self-imposed challenges mostly ended in frustration. But when I did manage to deliver this headwear to a campfire, I was rewarded with a retro-inspired minigame. Some featured frogs, others knights on a quest to a far-off castle. But the 2-bit pixel aesthetic always gave way to a memory of Nate's past that he seems to have gamified. Maybe to lessen the sting of these uncomfortable moments that shaped him. Or maybe to try and forget them entirely. Being rejected by a partner, being shunned by his family as a child. These minigames are bitter, yet nostalgic, in a low-fidelity style, showing just how fuzzy these times in his life are within Nate's mind. Sometimes it's even unclear who's speaking. The details are a pixelated pastiche, but the emotional heft remains. And after each of these checkpoints, I got a glimpse back into Nate's current day reality. The couch where he sat, dented by stagnation, piles of trash, his indifference, and a stark silence. Arrestingly, there's no punchline here, no music, and we're left to sit there ourselves in his parents' basement until we make the decision to keep moving onward and upward. Even during the journey itself, Nate is confronted by phones occasionally ringing in the distance, which are at times a challenge to answer. Truly the millennial struggle to rule them all. But what's even tougher is listening to some of these phone calls between Nate and his dad. While Nate's concerns over where he is are nonchalantly dismissed, his father still wants to see his son, still invites him over for Thanksgiving, and wants him to join a celebration for his sister's promotion. But these surface-level conversations revel in the awkward pauses and the unspoken intentions behind both of these men who just can't say what they actually mean. It's viscerally uncomfortable to witness. You can see the results of the masculine urge to bottle up your emotions and skirt around the way you actually feel in real time. And it's heartbreaking. But that's where the core of this game started showing itself more openly. Nate is clearly struggling, not just to climb this imaginary mountain, but to communicate, to find motivation to shower, to feed himself, to ask those around him for help, to get himself to a toilet, to get his legs to carry him out of his basement hovel. But it's not for lack of other characters offering to help him. In fact, just about every character over the course of Baby Steps offers Nate a helping hand. And each time, Nate outright refuses. Not maliciously, mind you, but out of what to me reads as embarrassment or fear of making his problems inconvenience other people. It's that stoic kind of self-sabotage. Ashamed he can't do it alone. Caught needing someone else's help. Ladders to get him out of treacherous pits. Maps. Conveniently gargantuan spiral staircases. And grappling hooks.
Yeah, road's out, but no worries. Grapple points.
Grapple point. Oh, just grapple. I'll grapple it.
Yeah, just grapple it with a grappling hook.
Oh, yeah, I'll just grapple that with my grappling hook.
Yeah, no worries. Just grapple that.
I'll just grapple that.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, Salada.
Oh, Salada.
While on the surface, dialogue like this is obviously absurd, the offhanded remark of just grapple it does illuminate how easy it is for people to forget that we're not all given the same tools in life. We don't all just have grappling hooks. People like Mike aren't being cruel in their ignorance, but rather just oblivious to how hard things might be for people fighting an invisible internal battle. While things like going to the bathroom, showering, or walking might seem like things we all do on autopilot, as someone who's struggled with that same deep, churning, dark kind of depression in a few periods of my life, I can assure you that every action and I mean every action, can be an uphill climb. Baby Steps, for all of its surrealism, might just be the most grounded depiction of depression that I've ever seen in a video game. Nate is a mess in every sense of the word, and so is this world he's fallen into. But each challenge is a lesson in patience, in perseverance. It's why this game, being a Foddy and rage game, is so perfectly intertwined with its depiction of depression and society's normalization of men not asking for help when they need it most.
Climb the mountain not to plant your flag. Climb it to see the world, not so the world can see you. David McCullough Jr.
Having streamed my journey to the peak of Baby Steps on my Twitch channel, I can tell you firsthand, there's a lot of pride that comes along with finishing these sorts of games. The type of pride that drives random people on the internet to claim,
in my professional opinion, you should
get good.
I did this in 3 hours with my eyes closed.
Are you clip farming right now?
Gay.
And honestly, that hyper-masculine chest pounding is exactly what this game is trying to expose and talk about in the first place. It's people like this that make asking for help a lot harder. And really, this kind of genitalia measuring contest just kind of makes people sound like an negativity so loud it makes people like Nate believe that seeking help is a weakness, even when a helping hand is explicitly extended to you. Completing Baby Steps doesn't get you an achievement. There's no PS5 trophy for rolling credits. Nothing is unlocked for completing this journey with Nate, except, hopefully, a bit of clarity, some introspection, or maybe insight into how people's internal struggles can make their day-to-day an impossible mess. When I stream games on Twitch, I can be an admittedly prideful person, to put it mildly. I like to challenge myself to complete a game without looking things up or asking for hints whenever possible. Partly, that's just for my own sense of accomplishment, but it's also because, as a viewer, there's nothing more dull than watching someone pause a game, open a web browser, and type, "How do I beat Silksong's Last Judge?" Watching someone get better at something over time, or seeing the gears turn in their head to solve a particularly stubborn puzzle can be really rewarding. But as I was reaching the snowy heights of Baby Steps' endgame in front of my Twitch chat, I was, for the first time on my entire journey upwards, really frustrated. The path forward up until this point had been pretty clearly marked, and even when I didn't heed those markings to instead find my own way, it was usually pretty obvious how Nate could proceed to reach the next checkpoint. And then I found myself clumsily recreating the only good part of Uncharted 2, and falling. Again, and again, and again. But after about 2 hours of trial and error, I finally managed to clamber up the inside of this frozen train wreck. So, now what? There was no indication of what the best way forward was. No landmarks or clearings in the trees subtly leading me anywhere. I just kind of waded through the pale freeze until... back to the slippery ice below. I was speechless, a wordless anger while the chat filled up with sweaty red Pikmin emotes. They knew I was fuming. And then, of course, I cursed out Nate and his weak little baby giraffe legs. Was all that work for nothing? Was that not even a valid way forward? How was anyone supposed to finish this game on their own without asking for... Oh. So I swallowed my pride and did exactly that. I asked my chat to help me finish the trek to the summit of Baby Steps. Through some teamwork, we ended up finding a better way to scale the final section of the mountain. Way off the beaten path, and something far more unorthodox than the train cars. But with the help of people who had cheered me on since I learned to take my first step with Nate just a few days prior, finding, following, and staying balanced on this razor-thin ridge was as easy as backwards escalator, backwards escalator, backwards escalator, backwards escalator. If you know, you know. And there we were. Me, Nate, and everyone in my Twitch chat inching closer and closer to the final moments of the game, step by step. Not only had the game made me feel the struggle that Nate was going through by making its control scheme operate like this, but through that level of challenge, Baby Steps also taught me what Nate was learning right alongside me. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Reaching out for support when you need it most is a sign of strength.
It is one thing to decide to climb a mountain. It is another to be on top of it. John Weir.
2025 was a pretty rough year for me personally, as you could probably tell by the fact that I uploaded like three? Oh my god. And I know I'm not alone in that by any means. But after falling into a pretty fathomless pit of personal grief while also crumbling under the weight of constant financial pressure, I felt like I had nothing left in the tank. All the while, sitting alone in front of my computer, trying to make the puzzle of my life fit together when I didn't even know where half the pieces were. Nothing was easy, and everything made me want to turn my back on those who asked if I needed help. Life felt like a mountain, and I couldn't get my legs to climb it. So, guiding this sweaty, onesie-clad mess through deserts housing boxing cactuses, roads populated by violently unsafe ice cream trucks, box hell, rivers of breast milk, pitch black tunnels of sand, and gravity-defying train tracks was a cathartic experience. Yeah, it was an infuriating one, but it was also a tangible reminder that I could climb out of anything. I could scale a cliff that felt like it stretched to the moon. It was frightening just how many parallels there were between my life and Nate's in the most deeply personal ways that I don't feel comfortable sharing. I was taken aback how frequently I found myself in tears because something hit home in a way that I wasn't ready for amidst navigating treacherous mud-laden paths and banana peel-covered towers. The game, while being extremely silly, felt like it knew me too well. Between all the moments of goofy hijinks, Baby Steps held up a mirror, and I didn't like what I saw. And through the type of frustration that only Bennett Foddy rage games can create in the deepest recesses of my jaded gamer soul, it reminded me that there's nothing to be ashamed of in asking for help when facing tough times. When I truly needed that lesson the most, change, growth, and scaling mountains isn't done through shortcuts. The way forward is almost never a straight line. It's not predetermined. It's not expected. We will all fall and get back up to try again. Getting through our darkest hour can't be done alone. It's not always the big strides that make lasting progress. Sometimes, all it takes are baby steps. Oh yeah, and Nate's gay, so 10 out of 10, game of the year, obviously. Did I really only make 3 video essays last year? Oh my God. Hey, look, I moved, I got a new job, I went to TwitchCon, and then I went to Seattle for a wedding, and but seriously, thank you so much for being patient with the video essay output lately. I appreciate it. And a big thank you to all of these friends of mine who agreed to say mean things to me for the video. Go check out their channels. They're all really nice, I promise. And speaking of, another big round of thank yous for Voximandius, Bean Fiello, Veltwalker, Cap Danvers, Robertson, Comrade Quest, Max Wattage, Lion Bite, Sarah, John Lax, Nightmare God, Crazy Tyndall, Kyle and Rain of Couchbugs, Diva Grind, Why Not Omelet 69, One's the Loneliest, Fan, Suspicious Fish, and Faux Retro. Those are all of my monthly supporters over on my Ko-fi page. If you don't know about Ko-fi, it's sort of like Patreon, but a lot cooler. If you want to help support this content financially and see behind the scenes content, sneak peeks at future video essays, and get a say in the content that I'm making here, as well as getting shoutouts at the end of the videos, you can join for as little as $4 a month. Or you can just drop a one-time donation if that's more your speed. Oh, and also you can catch me streaming games like Baby Steps over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/FilmOtter2. Oh my God. Hello? Hello? Are we fighting a T-Rex right now in my Souls game? What do you mean? Hello? Dude. What are you talking about right now? Oh my God, this is sick as oh yeah.